Hello and welcome to the Solve Network. My name is Shane Borza and I'll be your host. Along with my co-founder Benjamin Goss, we'd like to welcome you. Our mission is to provide solutions and create a network of experts for you to learn from. Now this show is a little different than most podcasts as it is actually a live call held twice a month. If you can, please join us on the first and third Thursday of each month so you can get your questions answered live and direct from the experts themselves. If you're an expert, please contact me at shaneborza.com so you can be a part of the network. And now, here's our show.
Scene one, Apple, take one.
Hi, I'm Shane Borza, your content creator coach. I have 2 books on filmmaking, Film Notes, where you learn to write, direct, and produce, and the Film Notes Workbook, where you can learn checklists and paperwork to streamline creating your content. Available at shaneborza.com. I also have filmmaker resources like the Paperwork Bundle with over 300 documents, the Sound Effects Bundle with almost 3,000 files, and the Music Bundle featuring 900 tracks of all genres. Want to build your professional credits? Become an associate producer and get listed on IMDb. Let me help you get your art out into the world.
Scene one, Apple, take one.
I'm happy to have other people jump in with questions, but the first thing I wanted to ask is I mistakenly sent out the email saying that you're talking about leadership of horses / equine therapy, but I think those are actually different. So could you talk a little bit about what the differences are, if they are different or not? Because I'm not sure where the line is there.
Right. So the one-on-one coaching you could call the equine therapy, but in the end, it all comes down to leadership, I believe, because it's about being a good leader for yourself. To have direction, to know where you want to go, to understand yourself, and to have a good relationship with yourself. And when you have that, you can work on, when you understand yourself better, you will understand better how you interact in other relationships. And with that, you can be a leader. Everyone is a leader in their own way, in their own world. We all have different roles in life, right? As a parent, you are a leader. As a colleague in your team, with where your specialty is, there you are the leader. So in the end, it all falls under the umbrella of leadership. That is what I truly believe. Yeah.
Thank you. I see Craig had a question. Craig, did you want to jump in and speak directly to Deauke?
Yes. Just confirm you can hear me. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I was simply asking, some people have pets. I guess a horse is a pet, if you want to call it that as well. But I was just curious as to the difference. And I must admit, your coaching is unique in that using that as a bridge to help evoke change in others, whether it's organizations or persons. And I just wanted to get your perspective, since you're an active practitioner, as to how they're different and as to what unique things that, whether it's horse rearing or just equine, can bring. That's it.
Thank you for your question, Craig. Yes. So, how are they different from pets, or are they different or not? Of course, we are their caretakers. So, in that sense, is the same as any other animal. And I honestly believe that with also, if you have dogs or dog or cat, that if we took time to observe them, to learn how to communicate with them, and not just have them be our subordinates, is that the word? We would very much learn so much about them and about ourselves. So I am convinced that you could do a lot if you don't have a horse, that there can be a lot of self-improvement with any animal. The great thing about horses is because not everyone has access to horses, not everyone has that opportunity to engage with them. Also, they are, except for miniature horses, they're so huge and so impressive. And a lot of people are fascinated by them and admire them and think they're gorgeous. But on the other hand, they're also a little bit scared of them because of their size and because of we don't know how they respond to certain things. So because so little about them that you're a little bit scared because of their size. So, and also because the society, or what we learn, is that never walk behind a horse's back, he will kick you. So we're very, we hear when we grow up that we should be very careful and aware of the damage horses can do. So not that we're not taught that they're dangerous, but we are taught, like, don't walk behind their back, they kick and they can bite you and all of that. So that's why we're also a little bit scared. So there are limiting beliefs, and that's also why I love working with people who did not grow up with horses, is because they know very little about them, and I can give them a positive introduction being so up close and personal with horses. So and they're curious about it still. And so, so they are kind of pets, but then again, they need, because of their size, they need great leadership. A dog you can still manipulate into a certain position or whatnot. With a horse, that is almost impossible because of the horsepower.
Yeah, that's some very interesting perspective. Anyway, thanks. Yeah,
welcome. And also with horses, you're outside, so you're on a farm or in nature on a pasture. So everyone knows by now that nature has such a positive effects on our body, on our mind. So that is another plus that you have, that you're outside. And I offer my sessions in winter as well as in summer, spring. Your body needs to adapt to the cold, and so that's also a great thing. You have the excuse to take the people actually outside, out of their comfort zone, out of their warm house, or into the heat, and when it's summer, of course. So yeah, that's a bonus that comes with it.
So I'm curious, you mentioned at the beginning you had this journey of like learning how to take care of the horse and interact with the horse and like ride the horse and all of that. So now that you've had over 10 years of kind of horse time, what's the biggest lesson you learned from horses that you're able to put into the other aspects of coaching that you do?
Good question. What's the biggest thing I learned that I use in my coaching now?
Yeah, so like, what did you learn in working with horses that you use because you do a number of types of coaching and different things. Right. So what is the biggest thing you learned that you use without horses to, help other people in other ways?
Yeah. I think it is that to interact with people and animals with no judgment and compassion and understanding. No, not judging is I think that's the biggest one, because we don't know people's stories. Like the horse that we rescued, the guy that sold the horse to us, that was a little bit of a scam. But so it was supposed to be a 16-year-old horse that we got, and the vet said he's over 20. So, well, that's me being naive about the horse world. So not judging, because we don't know someone's story, and everyone has their reality. So because I hear in the horse world, I hear a lot of people like, that's a mean horse, that's a bad horse. Oh my God, such a scaredy pants horse. But if you put yourself in the horse's shoes, then you understand why this animal behaves like that. If you understand that survival, comfort, leadership are their three priorities, with survival first, then there is more compassion and understanding and non-judgment. When a horse jumps away when you pass a garbage container, or when there's a plastic bag flying around, or when a bird or a squirrel jumps out of a tree, when these horses, their flight instinct kicks in, and because their survival is endangered, because in their brainstem, the oldest part of their brain, there is still the thing that it could be, I'm just saying, it could be a mountain lion, it could be a snake. We all are species, and our number one priority, but we don't know that anymore, is actually survival of our species, and survival and reproduction, so that our species can continue to be here on this earth. That's what we are all here for. That's how nature made it. So horses, their first thing is survival, and they don't think that, of course, but it's their instinct. So when something spooks them, scares them, they run, because survival. And so we shouldn't joke about that or laugh with them because they spook about a plastic bag. So with that being said, if someone reacts in a certain way that you don't understand and that you think is silly or stupid, you don't know this person's story or what their reality is, how they were raised. What is normal for these people may not be the normal for us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, very much. And I see Craig has a follow-up to that. He's asking, what can horses teach us about fear and our comfort zones?
Yeah. Horses, first of all, are... first, their instinct kicks in, and it's fear, right? And it's with people the same thing. You cannot, no matter, there's a thing called desensitizing, right? If you come across like someone who's scared of dogs because he got bitten at one point, if he gets always good interactions afterward with dogs, he'll start to desensitize and not be scared anymore, and this will get better. So you can also desensitize horses if they are confronted with the plastic bag, for example, several times, and you teach them like, this won't bite you, it won't kill you, right? It's not even, you show them, you pet, you rub on their skin with them and all that. So, but our first reaction, unless we're desensitized, because it always was afterwards a positive thing, the emotion pops up and there's not much we can do about it. It is our instinct, it is our brain giving us a signal, it's dangerous, or is this, or is that. So we can stop that. But after the horse runs away a little bit because the squirrel jumped out of the tree, then it stops and it'll look and it'll observe, analyze. So the brain, boom, 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 and it'll say, okay, it's nothing. So what can we learn is after our first emotion, which is instinctual, if we then stop, take a break, pause, breathe, and look at what is going on, even look at the emotion, approach the emotion with, like you're the observer of the emotion, then you will see that maybe that fear is not justified, that it was necessary, right? And so that's the part about fear that I want to say. And then comfort zone, you will have to, this is difficult to relate to the horses. For the horses, I would say, like, to get them out of your comfort zone is them out of their comfort zone. You'll need to be a great leader and have patience to, let's say there's you put a plastic thing on something that makes noise in the pasture. You put it on there and you want the horse to walk on it or over it. So you'll need to have a lot of time and patience to get the trust of the horse to actually walk over that. So that's how you get them out of their comfort zone. And their curiosity is huge, is big. And we can learn from that to be more curious, like a little child that sees something for the very first time and thinks like, oh, what is that? Let's explore that a little bit more. So we can learn that. So if the horse, after curiosity, learns that, okay, this is not a dangerous thing, and then they will be more playful with it. So that's horses and comfort zone. And us and comfort zone, I think I almost every day I do something that brings me out of my comfort zone. Yeah, but I don't have like the answer right now how this can tie in with the horses, to be honest. So I'll have to think about that one, Craig, but it is a good question. I believe that we are way too much in our comfort zone. We are spoiled. We have all the luxury. By the way, Shane, I dove into Wim Hof's method. Right, I'm obsessed. I love what he brings, and that is about comfort zone. That our bodies are so used to being comfortable that it's not working the way it's supposed to work and what it's supposed to do for us. That is like doesn't have work to do. And that's why there's so much disease and depression and all of that. So if we would only come a little bit more out of our comfort zone, and that's why there's coaches, I think, to encourage people to do that, is the only way you grow, getting out of your comfort zone. And I heard a great quote today. Well, it wasn't a quote. It was my hairdresser that said it. And he says, I'd rather regret not doing something than I'd regret that I did it and that was a mistake that I did it. So don't be afraid to fall. You'll just get up again and keep going.
That's good. Thanks.
Good.
So Ben's staying muted, but he had a question he wanted me to ask. He's wondering with the connection between stress reduction or stress relief in animals, is there anything that we can do, like learning the connection with the horse? How can we repeat that when we don't have the horse with us anymore? Like if someone goes and has a session, they learn how to be a good leader, they learn how to not have that authentic, congruent issue. How can they continue to do that, like when they're home or when they're at work and they're no longer out with you and the horse?
Yeah. I would have them think for themselves about what could be a little reminder. And I could, tips, but I let the coachee come up with what could remind you. At first, they'll need reminders, like, okay, this was what happened with the horse. So you can, like, breathing techniques, big breathing with the horse. So if you have a horse that is nervous because it's feeling uncomfortable, because you're maybe nervous, or it's sensing something in the air, smelling something, then if you can, as a leader, can calm yourself down, you will see the effect on the horse. So breathing is huge. Breathing, checking in with your body, feeling rounded, all of that. That is also the first thing. Breathe, breathe, breathe. So I'd have if it's a woman, I'd have her touch her bracelet, for example, as a reminder. And we do that actually, muscle memory, actually when we're in the coaching session, that she does it there. And then when she's with her team, that she can touch that as a reminder to breathe. So it's a matter of practice. Yeah.
Thank you. I see. So John had a comment that I wanted to, turn into a question. He was saying that he was surprised to hear that the mountain lion was a predator of the horse. He didn't think horses had predators. He mentioned snakes and a couple things, and in things like movies, we see the horses riding down the trail, and the snake pops up, and they buck a rider off, and then it becomes the story elements where you have to rescue the person or what have you. So in talking about you mentioned the horses getting spooked and they run off and things. So with the experience you've had, how have you worked not so much with people's fear in the horses, but with the horse themselves? And is that a different process in working with a horse that's scared, or a horse that has some kind of, like you mentioned, they have these irrational fears, and a lot of the things that are kind of programmed into them, and that kind of historical deep part of the brain is very similar to people. So is it the same process with training the horse as it is with training the people, or are they completely different?
I would say it's the same process. We need patience to reprogram or rewire our brain, or the coachee's brain, but it's the coachee eventually that has to do it. But we need patience, because it may be a pattern that has been going on for years and years and years. And about the brain and the neurons and the wiring. And so to rewire your brain, it just takes a lot of time. And that's the same with the horses. You were mentioning the snakes, great example, and also great example of non-judgment, understanding, compassion, patience. People that are not used to working with horses don't know this. And when I do work with someone, they're surprised. So it's good to now and then calm through the manes of a horse so that they don't get tangled. So when they get caught on something that, it's not pulling their hair out or getting them stuck on. So there's this spray, a detangler spray. And if you don't know that, and you're with a horse and you don't know this horse and all that, and you say, okay, I heard that you have to spray the hair, and you use that spray. Well, some horses freak out when you use the spray. It has the sound. And so some will say, oh my God, you silly horse, or you stupid horse, or why would you freak out? It's nothing. It's just a spray. Well, these horses don't understand that. They don't understand language. You saying don't be afraid doesn't help. which is same thing with you saying to a person, oh my God, you don't have to be afraid about that. That is not helpful for the person. So what it is with this spray is that it sounds like a snake. So they don't know that, like, but in their brains, oh God, hang on, I'll mute myself.
So while Deauke is handling the dog posse, I have a couple more questions, but I don't want to step over anyone else. So once she finishes this, if you have a question you'd like to ask her, feel free to just jump right in.
So the sound that the spray makes, the sound is from is the sound as snakes. So in their brainstem, there's like, it says they get the signal danger. That's what I'm trying to say. So you first have to know that. If not, it can lead to a very dangerous situation. If you just mindlessly use the spray on a horse that you don't know. And to get the horse used to that spray, you need a lot of patience. It may be days, it may be weeks before you get this. Another example, the horse whip. So my horses perceive the whip as a not dangerous tool. Some horses are hurt with the whip, so there is horse abuse going on. And some horses, when they first see a whip, we had that with the rescue horse. I got out the whip and I immediately saw his eyes being wide and really, really scared. So some horses didn't have a good experience with the whips. So then you have to reprogram the brain and be very, very patient to do that. And I think that would be the connection with humans and with fear or any experience or traumatic experience that they had, with a lot of patience and a lot of loving and compassion and understanding. I'm convinced you can rewire everyone's brain. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I think that it's really helpful to have the context of some of these things, the examples of both like the whip and the spray bottle. I mean, I didn't know that you would spray horse's mane, for instance, but also I never would have thought of the association that the horse would have, because again, that biological trigger is something that I don't think most people, if you're in the bathroom and you're spraying something in your hair, I don't think most people would recoil at that thinking, oh, this sounds like a snake. But it makes sense when you explain that. So I think it's really important because the parallel is there to so many people where, whether it's kids or adults or something, we talk a lot about in coaching how at some point in your life you adopted a certain strategy to help you deal with a problem or an issue or a person, whatever it might be. And it continues, and for 20 years you've been reacting a certain way when really the cause of that no longer exists in your life. And so it's learning how to kind of undo it or realize that it's no longer serving you. So I think that there's a lot of parallels in what you talk about and using the patience and taking the time to help kind of reprogram those reactions that the horses had.
Right.
So
I'm going to say something about that. So I call myself like the facilitator when it's because I'm not the main person. The horse and the coachee are. And so when I observe, it's like you said, people have been doing things for all these years and they don't even realize anymore. So, for example, the horse and yoga. So I give a little bit extra instructions beforehand, and I also say enjoy it and don't feel like you need to talk. Horses, words for them, they don't mean anything. So, and I'm the observer, and you can't imagine how, especially women, talk to the horse. You're such a good boy and stuff like that. And so if you have a dog, it could be, I could bring you awareness right now, and you might tomorrow say like, oh yeah, right, I do that. So to animals, we talk. And imagine, or like for if you have a partner or a colleague that is an introvert, how this is noise, just noise. And so how many people have it difficult to not talk? It's really interesting. And when I tell them, for this horse, this might mean something, but this might also mean noise, a lot of noise going on. And so because they don't understand language. So that's an interesting observation. Talking, people talk. And then another one is how people want to touch the horse, touch the dog, touch. And then I explain to them, this touching, you do that for you, because you don't know, don't they like that? They may, but they may not. I don't know, they can't talk. I know that my mini horse, he loves to rub on people and he loves it, but maybe not always. So that is what I was saying about, brings a lot of awareness, body awareness, how much we touch, how much we talk, and how much things we do that is maybe not necessary and only brings more noise to, if you take all that away, how beautiful it can be. Not speak, not do anything, just sit, no material things, how everything is different with no words, no touching. Yeah. And I had a lady, and she wanted her son to give equine coaching a try. And she says she got divorced the year before or something. And she thought that he was a little bit troubled by all that. So she came with the son, and I said, you can stay for the first session, but the next sessions, I'd like you to just drop him off. So I want her, of course, to feel comfortable that she's leaving her son with me. It was very interesting to observe the mom in that first session more than the son. She was, and yeah, I could see why the son was closed off towards his mom. Yeah. A lot of talking, a lot of, wanting to be loved and wanting to give too much. And that was not what he was needing. So with the horses, you learn, what does the horse need right now? And are you touching the horse because you want that? Or do you really think that a horse wants that? So a lot of questions, reflection, discovery. Yeah, super interesting. Yeah. What also often happens is like an explosion of emotions. People that start to cry, and some know why, and others don't know why. So that's, the power of the horse, maybe the spiritual animal that is also the horse, that brings something that, that you need to let out. So it's beautiful what happens in these sessions. It's hard work. It's intense. Like the horse and yoga session, I tell people, when you get home, you might be super tired. You might think that you didn't do that much, but there's a lot going on right now. Yeah.
So Ben was asking, because you were talking about rewiring the brain, and he's curious if there's any like cheat codes that you can use to help rewire, either for people or horses or both, kind of like maybe a hack or something.
What word did you use just there? Cheat codes? Is that what you said?
He said like a cheat code but I was thinking, you could also call it like a hack, like a way to hack rewiring the brain, like maybe more quickly or more easily.
First of all, that awareness has to be there. And then because you need to catch yourself that you're going down that pathway, that's automated, that's where it always goes, the habit. So first you need awareness to catch yourself. And then you need to have tools to redirect. I have bipolar symptoms, so I have a mental challenge, and so I don't know if whether you know something about bipolar or not. So it's very extreme mood swings. It goes from depression to up to mania, even, and then downward spiral again. So I've had this since I was a teenager, but it wasn't until, funny enough, only a year ago that I found that it carried this label. And not that I need a label or anything, but it was a relief, actually, first of all, to find out that it's a thing. I'm not crazy. There's so many people that have that. And then also to see the scientific, like, how does this work? Okay, you're here in the depression, and then you go up, and then you're maniac. And that's why I would drain myself in my business, because when I'm at the maniac point, I'm super creative. I would come up with 100 business ideas. Yeah. So I'd fatigue myself, I drain myself, and then you're back down. And so there's mostly every time there's a trigger that triggers me into the downward spiral. It can be in my relationship, a thought, a feeling, something that's being said. And so what I learned is, of course, I have a very high level of awareness because of the work with the horses, and I love to learn to know myself. Every day I learn about myself. And because I understand how the brain works, and I'm a brain geek, that's why I'm the habits expert. What I do is, when I'm triggered and I feel like, okay, I'm going down that rabbit hole, is I don't know if you know Mel Robbins has the 5-second rule. If you don't know that, I would strongly advise you watch her TED Talk. It's life-changing for many. So 5-second rule, so you count down. I don't use the rule in where I want to say now. It's not particularly her rule but I count down. So I feel that it's happening, I'm triggered, and then I count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I say to myself, change. And so what I do is I stop the cycle or the chain that my brain is going to start. I stop it by confusing it. I say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and mostly after a countdown, there's an action. There's something, we saw the launch a couple weeks ago. And so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the racket goes up, the launch. And so I count down, and then I say this word, change. And that word can be anything for anyone. And it doesn't have to be the countdown, but this is how I stop myself from going into my automated path, the program that I've known for so long. And then I do something else to change it. So a quick way to reprogram, rewire, I'm not sure if there is a quick way, but there is ways to stop the process and then do the work to start redirecting, rewiring, and with a lot of practice. It's not in days. It's not like, after 21 days, you'll be rewired. No way. So it's with, the number of times that the repetitions, the the reps that you put in to do that. And there's no number for that. I hope that answers the question.
I really like the countdown and then change. I think that's really effective. I wanted to ask, so who was the speaker at the TED Talk with the 5-second rule?
Mel Robbins.
Mel Robbins. Perfect. So I have a few more questions before we wrap up. I'm curious, you talked about kind of, like I said before, learning how to take care of the horse and ride the horse and interact with the horse. And now you do horse yoga. So I'm curious, how did you go from kind of hesitantly, grinding through the gears of learning how to take care of a horse to, I'm assuming you do horse yoga and then you also facilitate it for other people, but also I've heard of like people doing yoga with goats and all this stuff, but did you invent horse yoga or is it a thing? So talk about that, please.
Yeah. So how I came about was that I had a fitness studio, so I sold that last year, and I offered yoga, and my programs with the coaching with the horses wasn't picking up the way I had hoped because it's new, maybe not the right area where I'm at. So I thought, okay, lots of people now love yoga. How can I get them outside and be with the horses? Even the people that had been coming to yoga for so long never even asked about the horses, or they just liked that they were there in the pasture. So I thought, how can I combine everything? And I did research, and there actually, I went to St. Augustine in Florida, and it's Equine Om, they're called, and I got certified in horse and yoga there. Yeah. So amazing experience, amazing people, and then I brought it back, and then I Airbnb has a section, Airbnb experiences. So I'm not great at promoting my stuff and marketing and all that. I'm not good at that. I'm great at coaching and coming up with new programs, but not at marketing. So I signed up to have my experience be public on Airbnb experiences, and they offer unique things. So I was in the area of Chicago. While I'm an hour and a half away from Chicago, they said, we still want you in the Chicago area experiences, even though you're that far, and in the countryside, and how are people going to get there? Not with an Uber. I did have one time a lady did come with an Uber. The Uber guy said, she's nuts, like an hour and a half and 3-hour drive for this. Well, she said it was more than worth it. So the Airbnb experience platform had me have people come from all parts of the US. It was incredible. And at a certain point, there was people, and I said, yeah, what are you here for? And are you going to visit the city, Chicago? And they said, no, we're here for this. So I thought people plan a trip, they book an Airbnb, lodging, and then they look, okay, what can we do in the area, right? But these people, at a certain point, some people said, we want to do something unique. Oh, it's in Chicago, it's by Chicago. Okay, let's book the experience and then find a place to stay. So I was very proud, and I've changed a lot of people's lives. It was a unique experience for so many, and so I'm really happy with that platform, Airbnb experiences, and so that's how I was able to reach more people. Yeah, so I didn't come up with it. I got certified, and that's when I started to offer it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I want to give everyone else on the call a chance to ask any final questions that they have before I ask my final one. So if anyone has anything else they'd like to know more about, please unmute yourself and ask away.
No, I don't have a question, but I just thought it was interesting, the transformation process, because I have a similar process with where I've been coached to learn where, once you recognize the state changing in your head, then you can't unsee it and unrecognize it anymore. So once you see it, you can't unsee it. So that's a cue to help you shift. But it's interesting in the extreme of, being your candle about being bipolar, how maybe that's, harder, or it takes more work, or it takes more effort, or maybe harder to kind of shift. And not that shifting is so easy for anybody, but again, it becomes easier once you kind of learn and recognize it. And I never heard of this 5-second rule, so I thought that was enlightening. Mm-hmm. And I think it's great with the horses. I've gone horseback riding a couple of times, and I know there's probably a lot of negativity towards this but I used to go to, I live by Belmont Racetrack, and I used to go to horse races all the time, and I know there's controversy about how they're treated. Well, I knew some trainers, and they always loved their horses, but I used to go to the horse track. The harness races were by me, and Belmont Racetrack was right by me, and I used to go to horse races all the time. So I always loved and admired horses. Used to watch them in the post parade, and you could see some of them in the post parade. They were just so regal and gallant and beautiful, So, but I don't go to the track anymore, at all. So, but it brings me back to those days.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, John.
So you mentioned some book recommendations earlier, and I'm curious if you have any movie recommendations that you think really showcase horses, either realistically, that's actually what riding looks like, or that's really the best way to see an example of real interaction with a horse, or the way that horses are trained, or something like that, or just some movies that you like that have horses in them that maybe people haven't seen, either fictional or a documentary or anything. Because there were a couple times I was seeing imagery from things like The Man from Snowy River, the old Disney movie with the Aussie guy, just riding the horse off the edge of the cliff, and it's, or things like that, that image has stuck with me for 30 plus years. I don't know if that's realistic at all or not, but it's very exciting cinema. So I'm just curious, as a horse person that has all this experience, do you have any that either are oh, I saw this movie, it has horses in it, and it's absolutely terrible, it's not like that in real life at all, or the opposite, you're oh, this is a wonderful movie, it very much encapsulates either the relationship where the character has good leadership and presence and awareness you're talking about, or there's great writing, or anything like that?
Yeah. Honestly, there's nothing that right now comes in my mind of movies, or I do books. I soak up books, I devour books. And if you would think what a movie that it's not, I would have to see it again, but Black Beauty at the time, because that's a Frisian in the movie, that's the breed, the Frisian, and that's the horse that we have. That's the only thing that I can think of when you ask about a movie. And we did see Seabiscuit. It's been a while. So, yeah, I wouldn't know, if to really have it be represented in the way that I approach horses. And it's not that there's many that have this kind of, but there's as many that still have conventional, and they use the horse, and I'm sure they love their horse, but they don't look at it as, this is my mentor, this is the mirror to my soul, right? I can teach leadership skills. but there's a lot of change happening and has happened already, that not just use the horse for barrel racing or on the racetracks, and there's still awful things happening as well, but there's change. And I also did horse and yoga with kids, and I also had like Girl Scouts come and visit, and we did a little bit of yoga. And so I always hope that if I have the honor to introduce a kid or an adult to horses, if it's brand new to them, if they only have it from what they see in the movies, then I'm very honored, because this is a different foundation that they're getting than if they would just go in a conventional horse riding stable. And like I don't ride my horse a lot. So when people come to the horse and yoga or come do a program with me, I ask them, what is your experience? And when I say horse, what do you think you do with the horse? And so 90% says riding. And I said, okay, let's forget about riding. So a lot still think of like a horse is to ride. Like what kind of question is that? And while a horse can help people with self-development, it's just too crazy what a horse can be for. And when I introduce someone to a horse, we start I call it from the ground up. You're first same as the horse. I also tell people like, this is like an 1,100 pound horse. Also a good tip, if you go on vacation, a lot of people when they go on vacation, there's horse riding offered. So, okay, let's do that. And then I think, okay, these horses are trained and all that, but it's still a prey animal that you don't know. You put you and your beautiful life on a 1,000, 1,200 pound horse that you don't know, and you go off for a ride on the trails or on the beach. This is a prey animal. Survival first. You're not a leader because you don't know, what the heck you're doing. Probably you're just following the herd. And so this animal is survival first. So if something happens, you put your hands in, it can be disastrous. Yeah.
It's funny, my sister was always wanting to go horseback riding when she was a kid. So my, birthday or whatever, what do you want to do? Oh, I'll go horseback riding. So she's had a lot of those types of, you go to the place and, 20 people go in and they each get on a horse and you ride around for an hour and then you leave. And of course, every time it's a different place, a different horse, and you've only known that horse for an hour. So that's interesting to me because I haven't had any interactions with horses like that. I'm a little more like what you were just saying, like, I don't know this horse. This is 1,000 pounds. Whoa. Yeah. So, but I think you're right. A lot of people have these misconstrued on both sides. I'm a climber, and a lot of times when I tell people that, they're terrified. I'm like, oh my God, what if you die? I'm like, well, what if you get in a car accident? So it's interesting to think of the kind of appropriateness of the risk assessment and the fear and all of that, because again, riding centers are so common that I don't think anyone would ever bat an eye. So, well, we are coming to the end of the call, and I wanted to ask, if people are able to come train with you in person, or they're not, either interested in or able to come ride horses with you, or train with horses with you, or do yoga with you and the horse, what other offerings do you have, or ways that people could work with you, either online or virtually, or whatever?
So I have currently 3 fixed programs, and then there's one more open. So the 3 programs I'm also a healthy habits coach, and the 3 programs that I offer currently are 7-week programs, and it's CBT based, cognitive behavioral therapy based, because the power of the mind, if you have, you know how to use that, you can do about anything. So CBT for weight loss and maintenance, because it's still an issue with a lot of people, especially in the US, obesity and or even just a couple pounds overweight. So if you don't have that extra weight, you can have more confidence and feel better in your body, have more energy and all that. So it's a 7-week program, CBT based, cognitive behavioral therapy based, for weight loss and maintenance. And why this program is so powerful is because there's no, I don't tell you what to do, like, here, eat this, and here, do it for that long. And for 7 weeks, we find together what works for you, and emotional eating and all that is all tackled with CBT based, actually. So that's why it's a lasting results compared to a lot of other diet programs that are temporary, quick fix. So we don't do that. We have patience. So that's one program. Then 7-week program for to manage depression. Again, CBT based, and coaching program. And then a 7-week, and that is, those two are online. So you could do that from anywhere in the world. And then the one that is partially online, partially local or in person is for self-development and leadership. And that's the one with the horses. So that's those 3, 7 weeks. And I still have some room for people that want to start before July 1st. They get a discount if they do. And then the other is the one-on-one coaching, individual, 4 months, 8 months, or 12 months, and for wherever you are stuck. So I'm working with someone who wants to work on her leadership. So she manages a team, and we're working on that for 4 months. There's someone that wants to have a more organized home, and with that, a more organized life and business. So we're working on that. So we talk about, there's always like a discovery call, I call it, to see what are you looking for? Will I be able to help you? How committed are you? Because I don't work with anyone. I'm not doing the work. The coachee is doing the work, and I'm guiding, giving resources, giving motivation, and especially accountability. And so we talk about what goals you want to reach, and make sure that they are realistic. And so we plan on working together for 4 months or 8 or 12, or we decide after the 4 months whether we want to extend or not. So that's one-on-one custom coaching, actually. Yeah. So that's all the stuff I offer. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. I think it's helpful to have us all exchange what we're doing, but also the different aspects of not only ourselves and the different backgrounds and training we have, but the different ways that we can offer it to people. So thank you for that. I would ask if you could send me the slideshow you had. I'd like to make sure I have all the books correct and your certifications and things like that, but you can do that anytime. So I'd like to always keep the call to time. So we're going to end now, but I want to thank everyone who is on the call for joining us live. Hi, I'm Shane Borza, a climber, creator, and coach, and I want you to build the skill of health and fitness. My new course is a priceless gift to you, and it's available exclusively on PonoQuest.com. That's PONO Quest.com. Build the Skill is a minimalistic, functional, real-world fitness program which can help you to move better and get stronger faster. I can't wait for you to check it out, and when you do, please let me know how it helps you. That's Build the Skill at PonoQuest.com. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Solve Network. As a reminder, these calls are held live on the first and third Thursday of each month. If you'd like to join us as either a listener or guest expert, please contact me at shaneborza.com. On behalf of my co-founder, Benjamin Goss, we're glad you are a part of the network and hope you are finding solutions. If you need solutions, please reach out.